and welcome to Cheers to Fears, where we take horror films and turn them into drinking games. We're your two hosts. I'm Tucker.
And I'm Alex. Today, we will be making a drinking game for Escape Room, released in 2019 and directed by Robitel. He also directed The Taking of Deborah Logan and Insidious: The Last Key. He is also supposed to be helping James Wan in directing Insidious: The Dark Realm.
In Escape Room, we witness 6 people take part in an escape room, where it is said that they can win $10,000. However, they quickly realize that they are playing for their own survival. The 6 of them are forced to confront their past, as they were all sole survivors of accidents that killed all other people. They will now be tested on which one of them is lucky enough to survive twice in this twisted game.
Escape Room is better experienced without spoilers, so if you have not yet watched the movie, please do so now and consider using our drinking rules alongside it. With that out of the way, let's continue.
The first rule we have for each drinking game is death. If you see somebody die, you're required to take a drink. In Escape Room, we saw 15 deaths, but when people were mentioned to be dead in some tragic accidents, we included those too, but of course with our mercy rule where it can be applied.
The next rule that we will always have here on Cheers to Fears is that when you hear somebody scream, cry, or yell, you take a sip. For this movie, we came to the conclusion that there was 18 screams, cries, or yells.
No, Amanda, no.
Rule number 3 is that you must take a sip when you hear the word game being said in the movie.
We beat them at their own game.
In Escape Room, game was said 30 times.
This next rule gave us 7 drinks. That rule is you are supposed to take a sip when there's a flashback.
Up next, you're supposed to drink whenever there is a new trap on screen. Oh, sorry. My mind's still on Saw from the previous rules. But you are actually supposed to drink when you see a new room, which to be fair is not that different from what I said. Either way, this rule resulted in us taking 8 drinks.
For the next rule, you must drink when you see a camera on screen. Some of them are pretty subtle, while others are fully in the shot. However, we only spotted 15, but again, the mercy rule was applied for some of these scenes.
For our 7th rule, you are supposed to take a drink when the people playing in the escape room are in a time crunch.
Time, this is some kind of clock. Shit! Where's the clock? I don't see the goddamn clock!
To be specific, this rule applies for when the room will kill the characters if they are not quick enough in solving the puzzle. We only counted this happening 5 times, making it the lowest total of drinks for this movie.
Another rule that we made for our drinking game is that you drink whenever you see the words Wu Tang You appear on screen or if they are said by another character. By our count, this occurs 12 times.
No, I am.
It's Davis.
It's an anagram.
Dr. Wu-Tan Yu?
You have heart to let Dr. Wu-Tan Yu help you.
Wait, Wu-Tan Yu. Wu-Tan Yu is...
It's Davis.
We now have come to the rule where you must take a sip when the escape room is directly relating to one of the characters' past trauma. In total, we counted 9 times that this happened.
You'll go down in history.
You'll go down in history!
They made these rooms for us.
The last rule for this drinking game is that you must take a sip whenever Danny says anything that is either awkward or nerdy.
Hey, just think of it like interactive dinner theater.
Jesus Christ, you're not helping me here, man.
Okay, yeah, making it worse.
For this, we took 10 sips for each instance that this happened, and hopefully it made this character a little bit more bearable to put up with.
And that concludes all the rules for Escape Room. The total number of drinks for this movie by our count comes to 129 sips, which is the equivalent of drinking just under 4.5 standard 12-ounce cans. That number is based off of our 30 sip per can scale, and if I would say so myself, we are starting to be consistent here on Cheers to Fears.
So I guess excluding the thing, La Llorona and the Nun were 126 and 131, which is within basically 5 drinks of each other.
Yeah. So as is common with a lot of our drinking games, we usually have a few rules that are left over, I guess, that just didn't make the cut. In this case, we had a couple rules as well, which one of them being was whenever clue was said.
Yeah.
And the reason we didn't include that was because we just don't want to include too many rules that are based around words, because we feel like we can get better rules sometimes that are more focused on the plot rather than just saying the word. And then another rule that we just didn't include because it was way too vague was anytime a character figures something out, which, like I said, is just way too vague and broad, and yeah, that's why it didn't make the cut, really.
Yeah. I guess moving on to the movie itself, we'll start with the characters.
Sure.
So there's Zoe, the main character, who's a shy, timid girl. She's very smart, as you can see, like, her opening scene in the class, how she knows the answer, but she doesn't want to actually, like, speak up.
Yeah.
So she's kind of the person that's reserved and doesn't really want to speak her mind. And now that she's in this escape room, she does exactly that. She's debatably the smartest person in the room for the most part.
I would say not even debatably, really.
Yeah,
It's just,
she's figuring everything out.
Yeah.
She's the one that's trying to help everybody, the one solving all the puzzles. And so it basically makes her come out of her shell more.
Yeah. And in the end, her and Ben survive because of her quick thinking in the poison gas room.
Yeah.
Which leads us on to Ben, is another main character, I guess you call him. So with Ben, you can kind of see that he's traumatized by his friend's death that he caused. Because not only is he relatively cold and distanced toward other people, but he is also an alcoholic. He then kind of realizes that they have to work together in order to survive after Danny dies, as this can be seen in him trying to save Zoe in the poison gas room.
Yep.
And I felt like he was a pretty good character as well. Like, I guess we didn't say it, but overall I felt like the characters were pretty good in this movie.
Oh yeah, I feel
they each had their own personality, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I guess, moving on, Jason, I feel like he was one of my favorite characters, just because you kind of saw his true colors come in. So, like, he was a very smart but manipulative person. So he has a few scenes where his selfishness is kind of seen. So in the very first room, for example, he's the first one to kind of crawl through to safety, while everyone else is still, like, holding their hands on coasters. Secondly, whenever Amanda comes in, basically doing all these Ninja Warrior stuff, so you can put it, she's basically out there being a badass when she dies, but he has no remorse for her death.
Oh yeah.
Basically kind of makes it out to be we should move forward in her honor rather than, like, mope on her death.
Yeah.
Which you can kind of see, but at the same time, he's basically, like, shutting other people out. He's shutting out other people's emotions.
He's just in it for himself, let's be honest.
Yeah, I guess basically the main thing is he treats other people's deaths like it's insignificant since it's not his own. The third point is he was the only one that didn't get hooked up to the heart rate monitor, so he told Mike, like, yeah, I'll go after you. So then he tries to defibrillate Mike, only for Mike to die instead of him actually taking the test like everybody else wanted him to.
Yeah.
But then we find out the whole truth about his jacket and that he killed somebody so he could stay warm and survive. And then he tried to kill Ben for the antidote. So you kind of seen this character come full circle to insanity. That he's a very selfish human being at heart.
Yep. So then we also have Mike, who we'll just quickly go through, I guess. He's clearly a super nice guy and very vulnerable, because you could see when he was with Jason how he just kind of accepted to take one for the team and get defibrillated or whatever, which ultimately ended up killing him. But he kind of just always went out of his way to be the nice guy for the most part. Like, there's not much else to say about Mike, really. He's just the nice guy of the group.
And I guess another one of the characters to mention is Amanda. So in the very first room where there's the oven involved, you can clearly see that it takes a toll on her with her PTSD. And she was basically useless in that room, basically curled up into a ball doing nothing. And then the difference is when she's in the upside down room, she's just doing gymnastics, moving everywhere, no fear in this lady. So you can really see what this PTSD can do to somebody. I love that.
Yeah, it was a cool little I guess character arc, you would call it. Like, she clearly has weaknesses, but she's also like a super strong character that, like, benefits everybody, really, I guess. Like, she clearly brings an advantage to the table when it comes to the other contestants, I guess. And if she kind of didn't sacrifice herself, I guess, she probably could have made it to the end, let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
And then we have Danny, which, I mean, he's kind of just a nerd. And overall, he's kind of the weakest character. He pretty much just is there because he knows how to do escape rooms because he's done so many.
Yeah, so he's kind of there maybe for plot convenience almost, to explain to people. But
plot
I mean,
convenience,
almost everyone's done escape rooms though.
Well, that's true, I guess. But I also feel like they tried to make him a bit of a comic relief character, which it wasn't done overly effectively. So, I don't know. Kind of just, he's just the nerd, stereotypical nerd.
Going on to the rooms, I feel like a lot of the rooms were all very visually appealing.
Oh yeah, each one was unique and interesting in its own way. So, like we kind of mentioned the first room where Amanda's having the PTSD with the furnace room, but then we go on to the room where they're, I guess, outdoors in a sense, and that's the one where Danny dies, and that's where it's all freezing temperatures, I guess. And I mean, if you ask me, that might be one of the weaker rooms in the movie.
Yeah,
it was still interesting, I guess, to see it, and it was still fun to watch, but it wasn't as visually appealing to me, at least. And then we mentioned the upside down room, which the billiard room, I guess. So that one I thought was the coolest.
And then there's the EMF room, which it's neat that it had all their hospital beds there. So obviously you could see that there was definitely a third party behind it, if they didn't figure it out already. Yeah. And then it has the we'll call it the acid room, I don't know what to call it, where they basically drug them with psychedelics, where they have to find the antidote with just other factors, such as them being just completely nuts almost because of all the drugs they've been forced to take. Yeah. So I feel like that was also a neat concept as well.
Oh yeah. I feel like this movie in general was a fun concept, and like, I don't know, it kind of goes the same route as Saw in a way. Yeah. Which maybe that's why there's a couple rules that are like Saw.
Yeah, but it goes the same, some of the same as other horror movies out there, such as like Would You Rather or Truth or Dare.
Yeah. I feel like those are all inspired by Saw in a sense, and this one does just put a little bit of a twist on it as well, which is why it makes it a little bit of a. It's not just a copycat, I'll say.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
It's its own unique thing that was clearly inspired by Saw.
Yeah. But yeah, you can obviously see that he takes inspiration from James Wan, considering that he directed Insidious: The Last Key, and that he's directing the new Insidious as well.
Right, yeah. Also, we talked about him in the rules, but we didn't bring him up specifically. Wu-Tang Yu, assuming he is a person, I find him pretty interesting, and I really hope that they kind of expand on that concept in the sequel, because we didn't get to see much about Wu-Tang Yu and
the whole organization like behind it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they mentioned that people pay lots and lots of money to see kind of people go and try to survive these escape rooms, but that's about it.
Yeah. So I think it'd be neat to see that expanded on.
Yeah.
But overall thoughts?
The film was fun. It was definitely fun. It wasn't top tier or anything like that. No. But it was an adventure. Characters were likable enough.
Yep. I feel like this is a good movie to watch once, maybe twice, but like overall I feel like this is probably a great movie for a drinking game, first of all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's just a great movie to watch with friends, I guess, because it's kind of just fun to experience it all with other people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like doing an escape room. You'd rather do one with friends than on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't require you to pay super close attention to it. You can still understand what's going on without being hyper focused on it, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're still able to converse if you want to throughout the movie and understand what's going on, and I feel like this kind of movie makes for a perfect drinking game, really.
Definitely, yeah. Well, now we're on to the Darwin Awards, where we will award one not-so-lucky nominee the Darwin Award. This award can go to a character who made a stupid decision in the movie that resulted in them getting killed, somebody else getting killed, or simply resulting in something bad happening that could have been easily avoided. This award can also be given to somebody who is just plain dumb. Here are the nominees.
Today's first nominee is Ben, for throwing his lighter across the lake instead of just handing it over to one of the other people. Because of his decision, it caused Danny to drown, but at least it wasn't an important or likable character.
Well, and you're welcome, by the way.
The only other character that gets a nomination is Danny, because despite a room being burnt to a crisp, he is still under the impression that his life is not at stake.
And the winner is Danny. Because let's face it, for somebody that thinks they're really good at problem-solving activities such as escape rooms, he not only gets shown up by Zoe, but he also fails to realize that the escape room is dangerous and he may potentially die inside of it.
Talk about immersive.
Immersive? What the hell is wrong with you? That was real!
And with all that being said, we hope you enjoyed today's episode on Escape Room. If you end up playing the game alongside the movie, or if you have any other feedback or suggestions, let us know in the comments below. Also, let us know what your favorite room in the movie was.
Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next week's episode, where we are going to be making a drinking game for the sequel, Escape Room: Tournament of Champions. If you want to check out our most recent video, click on the box on the top right. Or if you want to see a playlist involving all of the drinking games and movies we reviewed, click on the box below it. Thanks for tuning in, and this is us saying, cheers to fears.
So we got over her fear of flying. Let's play again.